At first glance, it's not the sort of place you would expect to find a solar power pioneer. But for Steve Willey, the backwoods of northern Idaho was the perfect inspiration and laboratory for living off the grid.
When we first moved up here, there was no such thing as a solar panel. They were used on satellites sometimes, but that was it.
But necessity became the mother of invention. Steve needed power on his remote piece of property, more power than a windmill could generate. So when the opportunity to experiment with solar energy came along, Steve was ready.
Oh, I've been playing with wires since I was 5 years old. My father was an electrical engineer, and I was playing with microphones and speakers and motors and things for a long time.
But solar panels were something different, and Steve wanted to share them with his neighbors.
At one point, I put a small one on my trail bike that ran a fan and a little water pump, and I drove around to every house I could find that didn't have wires going to it and said, "Look at this." It was a passion to let people know that here's this wonderful technology. The sun shines on the thing and you can run your refrigerator and everything.
Before long, the passion turned into a business, and Backwoods Solar was born.
It was just the message I wanted to get out there. I don't know when it started making money. She was the bookkeeper.
His wife Elizabeth had a head for business, and together they slowly built a successful company based mostly on catalog sales. The Willeys arrived in Sandpoint in 1975 after putting money down on 20 acres of undeveloped property about 15 miles north of town.
Land was like $50 down, $50 a month. I think it was $200 an acre, and that's something we could afford.
They had lived through the turbulent 1960s in Northern California and carried with them the influence of the hippie generation, seeking a simple life of self-reliance and freedom. An old school bus served as home for several years while they put together funds and plans for a house.
We had built it up, put an office and kitchen and a bathroom and a water bed in there, and we had a wood stove and so on. So we just drove it into the woods here and parked it, and we're fairly comfortable that way to get started.
But winter was hard in the North Country, so building shelter became a priority.
Because when you live in a bus, especially in this country, for 2 winters and don't have hardly any insulation in those buses, Steve would always ask me, what do I want for Christmas? What do I want for my birthday? I want a house, Steve, with insulation.
They started the structure with a small concrete foundation.
We were building this house, living out of that, and we got it up, and we couldn't afford the roof. All the roof metal and the beams and everything. Took the school bus to Spokane and sold it so that we could get a roof on the house.
The house continued to expand as the years passed. And before long, it was full of nooks and crannies, stairs, rooms, and even a toilet.
And this is our compost toilet room. After 23 years of using an outhouse, we decided maybe an indoor toilet might be nice. This was pretty easy. It takes not only the stuff that you normally put down the toilet, but it also takes all of our kitchen leavings, all of the things that you would normally put on a compost pile.
There's a solution to just about everything, it seems. A deep well feeds water up to tanks on the top floor where it flows down to showers and sinks. No pressure needed. And this brand new solar panel array sends power to the house, about 2,000 watts on a sunny day. Steve and Elizabeth built it themselves in this clearing after the existing panels were blocked by tall trees.
All those solar panels come in here on 4 different groups of wires for each 4 sets. And they go to these, which are called charge controllers. They control the amount of power that can go from the panels to the batteries. Of course, we have batteries because the sun doesn't always shine and you don't want your power going off at night.
They use 12-volt RV-type power for lighting, but run most of the solar-charged battery power through inverters, to produce 100-volt AC for appliances.
Anything that takes heat, especially stoves and hot water heaters, they take too much power for a solar system. So we use propane.
And there's even a switch to turn off power to the power.
Phantom loads are loads that things like microwaves or TVs or radios take power when they're off. So anything that takes loads all the time needs to be on a switch.
But perhaps the most important place in the house is this monitoring station.
It's a battery meter, and the thing around here is we do always have to be careful about where our battery is. That's the most important thing. That 100 tells me it's 100% full. I don't have to worry about it. Gets down to 70, I think, well, maybe I won't do a load of wash today. If it gets down to 60, that's when I think I'll turn on a generator. In which case I push this button. We rarely need the generator in the summer. It's in the winter months. We can actually go 6 weeks around here without hardly seeing the sun.
When winter arrives, they heat with wood. This converted coal stove burns 4-foot logs, sending heat up through vents just like a furnace. Smaller wood stoves supplement heat in other rooms as needed. The Willies are retired now.
He's doing just fine.
Maintaining the property keeps them busy and active. But now they have more free time to relax and reminisce.
I was standing up in the tower looking down, and I thought, gosh, you know, this really has worked, and it's been the kind of place I always wanted to live. It's been great.
We totally loved this place from the very beginning.